Macca's cuts hours due to staff shortages. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. I want to look at this article discussing Macca's cutting hours because of COVID staff shutdowns. Do you think the Macca's workers will receive exemptions as being essential services? I hope not, but yeah, I guess it's food, guys. Food, as much of many of us wouldn't eat it. I'd say it's a seed oil and sugar factory, but still, for some people it's food. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind a Big Mac, but I know it's because of the sugar pretty much. McDonald's cuts opening hours amid COVID staff shortages. McDonald's stores across Australia have had to reduce opening hours due to the number of staff members in isolation. McDonald's is I've got a neighbour who had COVID, and he's fine now. But it was like 2 weeks in to a new job. So he had to ring up and said, I have to isolate. He had a positive test, but then he couldn't get a rat test to prove he was negative. And he's feeling fine. You know, it was barely, I think he said he sneezed a lot. That was it. Barely a cough sometimes when it really got going, but there you go. Could you imagine that, guys? 2 weeks into a brand new job, and then you got to ring up and go, I've got COVID, I've got to isolate. A boss is going to be understanding, but they're going to be frustrated, and it's not an image you want to put out there. You know, most professionals don't like taking sick days. Okay, we don't take them, we don't use them if we can. That's why I prefer it's all banked up into holiday time, and it's just because it's essentially a value that they're taking off you. But I know one guy, an architect, he was notorious for always taking sick days whenever he could, all the time. Even at university, we were tutoring, and you're paid just when you work. Actually, he probably got paid for it too, but he just gets sick days all the time. And then one of our clients who we were working for, the guy was there. He'd worked there, and he'd left, and I go, oh, such and such. He took a lot of sick days, didn't he? And they all looked around at each other and go, yeah, I worked with him at university. He was notorious for it. And you don't want to do that, guys, because you just don't want to get sick. That's the solution, isn't it? So it's probably frustrating for professionals who, for the first time, have to isolate like this. So McDonald's is the latest, and probably one of the largest, big businesses to reveal it is unable to operate with business as usual due to the number of workers in isolation because of COVID. It comes only a day after KFC said some of its restaurants were offering a reduced menu due to supply chain disruptions when customers noticed stores had sold out of their favorite chicken items. Maybe this is a chance for them to get off it. A McDonald's spokeswoman told news.com.au some restaurants across Australia had to cut their operating hours due to staff isolation requirements. We appreciate our customers' patience and understanding as we continue to prioritise health and safety during these times. A sign at McDonald's Blaxland in New South Wales Blue Mountains on Tuesday said, due to unfortunate circumstances, our trading hours are limited from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's still insane. And they're usually open for 24 hours. Remember back in the day when you couldn't just, have a few drinks and instantly get in the car and drive somewhere to get 24-hour Maccas? So, our civilization has progressed now. We're probably at the peak of our civilization, 24 hours junk food whenever you want it. Many Australian businesses have felt the impact of rising COVID cases and a high number of workers in isolation, which is affecting supply chains and resulting in empty shelves. Last week, Coles introduced buying limits on chicken breasts, chicken thighs, mince and sausages. In an email to customers, Coles Chief Executive Stephen Kane said he expected it would take several weeks to fully recover from supply chain issues. Woolworths has not introduced buying limits, but Chief Executive has warned customers about gaps on the shelves or substitutions in online orders because of the number of workers in the supply chain in isolation. And as we said in a previous article, we're seeing the government negotiate with these workers to change the rules. So the close contact that may not necessarily be sick, that may be asymptomatic, maybe they don't need to isolate anymore. Changes were made to isolation requirements for supply chain industries on Monday to deal with the situation. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the change would allow close contacts working in critical food and grocery production, manufacturing, logistics, and distribution facilities to be able to work if certain requirements were met. But Australian Council of Trade Union Secretary Sally McManus has expressed concerns about the health and welfare of workers. A household close contact is now 4 hours, but working people might be spending 8 hours with someone who is COVID positive, and they are no longer considered a close contact, which is just really crazy, Ms. McManus said, speaking to ABC. It's a bit dangerous as well. I mean, she's a unionist, like through and through, Sally, you've got to understand. I think her entire career has been working in the unions. I mean, isn't that funny? Just think about that. Not actually working in any of the jobs or roles that you're representing, but just working in these organizations like professional bureaucrats, professional rent seekers. I mean, that's what a lot of the unions are, you know. But they've got to drum up a lot of it is to drum up, you know, fear and concern, and we've got to move forward with this stuff. We have to stop being afraid of everything. Come on. The union boss wrote to Mr. Morrison requesting an urgent meeting and including demands from the ACTU, including restoring pandemic leave for close workplace contacts, free rapid antigen tests, and upgrading a mask mandate to N95 or P2 masks. Oh, there you go, guys. Let's have a talk about this. Let me have my coffee. Are you happy that the unions want to lock you down pretty much more and want you to have to wear more onerous masks and then get more tax burdens for free gimmies and handouts and rapid antigen tests? I think she needs to catch up. We're going to be living with Omicron. It's going to be endemic. It's going to be here forever. There's going to be waves of it. There's going to be peaks of it. It's going to come like the perennial diseases that come and go with the seasons. We've got to learn to get on with our lives. We can't have this fear anymore. And I think most Australians now are over it. Sure, there are some that are just hypersensitive and now hypochondriacs, probably because of all of this. But most people are slowly going to and stoically get on with their lives. I feel here in Queensland it's the first time we've actually had the pandemic. Sure, we've had cases here, but now people are getting affected. People know people that have gotten it. I heard of someone who thought it was all a hoax until a close contact wound up hospitalized. I mean, that's the privilege that we've had here in this state because we've been fortunate. And now it's becoming real. Fortunately, it's becoming real, looks like, with the Omicron, which, well, all evidence suggests it isn't as dangerous as the other illnesses, at least at a percentage rate. Some people will still be affected quite badly, but a lot of people won't be. So this is good. But of course, there you go. Unions wanting more handouts, more gimmies, more tax. Do they even represent you anymore? Anyway, guys, this is encouraging. All of these little things that are happening, the cutting hours here, reduced supply here, empty shelves here, don't let it get you nuts. Don't be fearful of it. It's necessary to start opening up the country more to go back to normal lives. I'm confident it'll happen, guys. Remember, we've got an election happening. How popular a lockdown's going to be, how popular a mask mandate's going to be at the next election. Sure, there'll be some diehards that really love it. But most of us are just putting up with it. Anyway, check out this video, guys, about, well, a KFC worker who managed to pull together a $510,000 home. Good on him. Some positive news. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.